Hello, my front-end friends. Recently, I was at CSS Day where I had the pleasure of speaking. Eric Meyer had a talk where he looked at offset path, which enables this to be done like super simply. I knew about offset path. I just didn't realize that we could do it without SVG paths. And it's amazingly easy to use, super fun. And so yeah, let's dive into the code and see how we can pull this type of effect off, because I think it's pretty fun. Because we live in a world of AI, just repetition and everything else, and adding a little bit of whimsy to our website these days is something I think that we need a little bit more of. So let's dive in and check out the code to see how we can do this. All right, so to get started with this, I have a button set up. I have my data button type of whimsical. This could be a class if you'd rather it be a class. And I have a span in here of deco for decoration. If you only want 2 of these, you could do it with pseudo-elements, but because I'm going to do 5 or more, then I'm going to have a whole bunch of spans for them. I did put an area hidden if true on here. It is an empty span. Not sure if it's needed or not. Let me know in the comments, but I figure it doesn't hurt to have it there. So throwing that on there, it just means screen readers and assistive technologies ignore it. And then I have just basic button styling, nothing fancy here. I have my main color set up on my button type of whimsical that is transitioning the border color. I have a pseudo element on there set up actually to do the blur because it's a little bit more performant, animate animation, opacity over an actual box shadow. You could probably do the box shadow and be fine. And yeah, that's all I have set up right now is to have this. And then down here, I have this deco that is set up. So very quickly, let's come on this decoration. I'm going to give this a width of, we'll do like pretty big for now, 30 pixels maybe. We're going to give this an aspect ratio for now of 1. And I'm going to give it a background of white so we can actually see it. And that should show up somewhere. It needs a height as well. No, it should not need a height. But it doesn't matter why it's not showing up. Oh, it's because it's an inline element and you can't give those widths. But I want this to be a position absolute, and that changes the formatting context. I don't need a display block or anything. Just like that, now it shows up. Now, how do I get it on the border? And how do I get to travel along the border? It sounds complicated, but it's incredibly easy. And this is what I learned. I knew about this feature, which is offset path. So with this, I don't need a position like a top, bottom, left, and right. I just say that the offset path is, in this case, I want to travel along the border. So I'm going to put my border box. And like magic, it will show up on the border. Super cool, right? Let's also give this a border radius of 50% as well. So it looks like a little orb for now. And then, yeah, that's just, it works. It's super cool. I have my hover state down here. It is quite long. They're on my button type of whimsical. If it's hover or focus visible, we want to change things. And because this is already set on my offset path, what I can say here is the offset distance. And I can say this is, I don't know, 100 pixels. And if I hover on top, it will move 100 pixels. So that, of course, means we can transition our offset path. And let's just say it's over 1 second for now. And so if I hover on top, it will not transition because I don't want the offset path. I want the offset distance to transition. And just like that now, we can see that it slides back and forth along there. This can be any type of length value. So I'm going to say something like 80%. So it travels 80% of the way around my button. And now it goes all the way around following the border radius. Like I didn't realize this was possible. I've played with offset path. I thought you needed to have the SVG path for it to follow along. So really, really cool that we can do this. And it was when I saw Eric Meyer use the border box, we also have padding box. I was just like, oh, that's amazing, right? So there we go. Already, like, you can probably see the building blocks of this are now in place, and everybody's going to stop watching. Don't stop watching because YouTube likes watch time metrics. So continue watching even if you understand how the rest of it is done at this point. So what I'm going to do is maybe make this I will leave the size big. Let's change it to red for now just so it stands out a little bit more. But I'm going to change this aspect ratio to a 1/3 to give us a little bit of an oval-y shape instead. Like that. Oh, and this is an important thing. Let's slow this down a little bit. I do want to mention this. So make this like 5 seconds maybe. When it's going, notice how when it turns, it like follows the edge, which you might want. That can potentially be a good thing. But it's possible you want to keep its orientation. So for that, it would be offset rotate, and you just say 0 degrees. If I say 0 degrees, it means, well, it goes along and now stays at 0 degrees the whole time. And of course you could do this at like 45 degrees if you wanted to. It's going to set it at 45 degrees and then it's going to go along keeping that. And if you want it at 45 degrees, but then you also want it to follow and turn, you just add the auto keyword in there. I think it's this way around. Yeah, there we go. Nice. So a few different options you have there depending on the shape. If you have an arrow or something or whatever it is that you might want to use. In this case, though, I'm actually going to put this at 0 because we're going to make star shapes. I don't really want them turning. I just want them doing their thing. So I'm going to put an offset rotate of 0 degrees. Nice. The next thing I'm going to do, we're going to paste in some code here just to speed things up a little bit, where I'm going to add some pseudo-elements. And originally, I'd only done this with an X, but I figured why not make it into more of a star shape. So a pseudo-element coming in, content property, also position absolute, inheriting the width, the border radius, the aspect ratio, and the color, and the translate just so it actually lines up in place. And then I'm rotating each of them opposite one another to give us a bit of a star shape. And now we have a star that follows along our path. Nice. Of course, there's a few more things we want to do with this star. One of them, it probably will look better. I think it looks better anyway. If we have a filter on here of blur of like 2 or 3 pixels is probably enough just to give it a little bit of a blurry effect, especially 30 pixels is very big for this. So once this is smaller, it'll look a little bit better. I think we can leave it like that. The red does definitely stand out. Okay. What do we do next? Well, we want to make this animation a little bit more interesting. So the first thing we can do is not only change the offset distance when we hover, but also change, like if it just follows perfectly like this, as it's getting to the end, and actually we want, the speed of it is wrong too. Okay, there's a few things we need to do to actually make this look better, but let's start with the translate. So I'm going to say when it's finished, we want it to translate and actually move a little bit. So I'm going to say like, the first one is X. That can probably stay at 0. And then the Y, let's have it move down a little bit by like, I don't know, 10 pixels. And now when I hover, you can see it just like shifts down a little bit. I might actually make this a bit bigger. Let's try 30. That doesn't look like 30. That looks like 30. So when it finishes, I actually want it to finish down there. So it looks like it sort of flicks off the bottom as it turns the corner. And to be able to take advantage of that, that just means we come back up here. We're doing our transition here. And then we can say that this is also going to have a transition of that's our translate. Now, I don't want the translate to kick in right away. So we're going to say that this is going to be like a 2-second, and we'll probably do some calcs and other things, but let's set it up this way first and then actually figure out the math. So we can do a translate of 2 seconds with a 3-second delay. And that should have a comma, I believe. So now when it goes, it's going to stay there, but then at the end, now that's way too late in there, but you get the idea. So maybe this is like a 1-second delay actually. So now it comes around, it flicks off the bottom. I think that works out actually really well, the timing on that. Now, the timing can also be hard because of the eases that are on there, and now I'm going to have to change these because the easing is not working for me. I sort of want it to get... Well, first of all, it's really slow. I'm going to go with faster times than this, but I think it doesn't really make sense that it's slowing down so much at the end, does it? I guess it could slow down at the end a little bit. We could have it slow down. I might leave that now that I'm thinking about it. But the other thing that I do want to do is the opacity. And the opacity presents a small problem because I don't want to see it now. So the opacity should be 0. It should come in as we're traveling along, and then it should fade back out. And because we're going fade 0 to in to out, we can't do that really with a transition. We need to have multiple steps. Multiple steps means we need an animation. So let's come all the way down to here, and I can do an at keyframes. I'm going to call it a decoration life. I'm doing this with a double hyphen. This is a naming convention I've gotten from Roma Komarov, who's a very smart CSS person. We're starting to name so many things in CSS with a double hyphen now. Custom properties are the obvious one, but we have anchor positions, or anchor names, I should say. There's a few other things I'm forgetting. It's coming for functions and some other stuff. So just naming any custom name thing sort of makes sense to do it. If you don't want to do this, you obviously don't have to. And we can just say that it's going to do I'm going to say from 20% to 80%, we're going to have an opacity of 1. And at 100%, we'll go to an opacity of 0. What I'm not sure is if I should bother in the animation. I guess we could just do a 0% of opacity of 0 here as well. So then we're just sort of this is the entire life cycle of our star. So let's try and add that in and see what happens. So if I come up to here where I have the transitions, let's also add our animation of decoration life. and it's not a property. So we're going to say decoration life. Let's just stick with the 5 seconds for now. And I'm going to do a both. So it actually uses the starting and ending keyframes. So now you can see it has disappeared because we're using the both keyword, which means we're starting at the 0% keyframe. It comes to life, shoots along, and then fades out. Now the weird thing here is how long it takes to come to life. Oh, I put it on the wrong spot. I'm doing this all the time. I only want this to be on my hover. I was like, it ran the animation and then it was done. I want the animation to run here, which actually doesn't help. Well, actually we see it. So it's going to go to 0, it's going to fade in, fly along, and then slowly fade out. And I want to actually fade out a bit sooner. So we could play with our percentages, or I could just make sure this is finished before the other one is finished. And so again, this will be at a 0. We hover on top, it comes to life, shoots off, and then fades away as it sort of slows down. I think that slowing down that I didn't like, I actually kind of like now. So there we go. That is looking pretty good. Now what I would do is turn a lot of, before I make more decorations, I think it's important that we create a few custom properties here. Where I would probably put all of the custom properties to control a lot of this here, where I have the main color as well, just so I'm not like hunting down through the different areas. So I could do something like deco timing is something like, I don't know, 1.5 seconds, because that probably makes more sense. The advantage of having that there too means we can reuse it in different ways. So if we come down to where I was setting all my transitions up, which actually we might have to rethink because of the way it pops back to the beginning. Some of these should maybe only be on hover as well, but I'll worry about that after. So this would be my var of my deco timing. And then here we would do a var. Let's do var deco timing and just see if this even works, because sometimes we surprise ourselves. So it shoots along. See, the faster timing works. Let's also set that up for this. So this one I'm going to do a calc of var deco timing minus 1 second. Just so, or not, no. Let's do times 0.7 maybe, or that way, like, no matter what we do, it's always slightly shorter than the total decoration timing. So it shoots across and then fades out. Now it's so fast, I actually am wondering if I wanted to slow down a little bit more. We might make this a little bit higher, 0.85 or something. And then that could be, oh, that's better. There we go. So it shoots along and then fades out to death, or whatever it's doing. Death is a little sad for something whimsy. Here I just do need to add that opacity of 0, so we start with nothing. And then it shoots along and then fades out. And then it shoots along and it fades out. Now the problem is this is what I mentioned. If I hover and it doesn't have time to go all the way back because we're using a transition, that means like every time I hover, and if I go, it's starting over at the wrong place. So I do think the offset distance, I think both of these actually are going to also get moved down to here. So our animations and our transitions are there. So every time we hover on it, it's always going to start back over from the very beginning. The only disadvantage I can think of here is potentially, like, it just does, like, if you hover and then you leave, it just instantly turns off. But I don't think there's a better alternative to that. So we're going to leave it like that. Another thing I'm going to do here is we're going to very quickly, we could probably move a lot of things into there, but maybe we don't want to do it, but we could do like a deco one, what do I want to color? And so here, obviously the red is kind of weird. We could even like do variations based on this, right? So we could just have it use, well, no, not even that. We could use our var main color if we want it to sort of match. So now it's not working. Oh, because I didn't set it up. I'm like, why isn't that working? Hopefully you've done that as well. Deco one color. Now I've called this one and I'm doing a deco there, but you can see now it's the same color. I probably don't want it to be exactly the same though. So this is where I would probably use something like an OKLCH. And then, or you can use an HSL as well, but we could do this as a relative color and say from. So we're going to do that. My lightness will maybe be higher. So we could do this as a calc, but maybe I'm just going to do like an 80%. The chroma stays the same, the hue stays the same. So it's just going to be a lighter variant. So you can see it's a bit lighter. Then the other one, you could just come in with actual colors here too. But I think what I'm going to do is come in with a few more of these, and I'll see you in a second. And just like that, I'm done. Nice and fast. And we get something that looks like this, which I think is really fun. And so a quick rundown of what I did. I kept the main color here, the size, and timing. But then you see all these other custom properties that I set here, just so if you get into your button, you can customize everything without hunting it down element by element. And so I'm setting like color, the translate. So I'm translating them up and down. We saw that already. So I'm just giving different ending translate values for all of them so they can sort of finish a bit more scattered. On some of these, you'll see some scales. So I can change the size. Let's just make this one like a 3 so we can see that. And let's make this like 5 seconds just so we can see it a little bit better. So now I have that really big one in there, so we can control the scales to make things a little bit different along the way. What did I have that? Because I sort of like that. We'll leave this up high for now. The end offset is the offset path. So some of them are going to finish further along, some of them not so far along. So that's why they sort of spread out. They go at different, the ending at different places. To add a little bit of variation there, I have some speed variations that I've also put so that some of them are going to run faster or a little bit slower, so they don't all just end at the same time. So as this is going, you'll see they sort of fade out at different times. That's based on the speed variation. And if we come and look further down, the way I did all of this was I have the decoration size times the scale. Now, I wanted to make all of these optional, so I put a fallback of 1, because if not, it would be times 0 and they would just disappear. I did run into that issue. I also did this on the width here, because originally I did it as an actual scale, but the transform origin doesn't work because of the positioning, I think. So everything actually was like getting offset, and I was very confused what was happening, but it turns out it was from the scale, so I just did it with the width instead. The colors are all coming from the decoration color, which if you don't set one, will just come from the main color. They all have the same blur. That could potentially be something else you customize as well if you want to. And then what I did was set everything up. So the offset is there. If you don't set an offset, it'll be 70%. If you don't set a translate, it goes to 0. So I didn't need a fallback there. Then my timing functions are the timing function times the speed variation. Oh, this one shouldn't have the times 0.85, I just realized. So that will make it look a little bit different. We're too slow now anyway, but it doesn't matter. But yeah, we have the decoration time times the speed variation. Then I'm using the same thing over here, which I also don't want that on. And then we have the animation, same thing. And then I set them all up. So the decoration color of the first one is that one that we saw above, and I'm just doing that for all of them. Nice and simple. I was wondering if I could actually do this like sibling index and just do some cool math and stuff to create some variation. But this ended up working out well for me. So the finished code is linked down below if you want to dive into this, do something more fun. What happens when we click? Right now, nothing's happening. Fork this. Make something that clicks, hit me up on Blue Sky and share it with me. And yeah, let's add some whimsy to the internet. I think we need more of that these days. I want to say a very big thank you to Eric Meyer for making me realize this is even possible in the first place, and just super fun to do, to add these types of things. And also my enabler of Awesome Johnny, as well as all my other patrons and channel members for their continued support. And of course, until next time, don't forget to make your corner of the internet just a little bit more whimsical.